Hey, what's going on, everyone? Stevo Supremo here, and I wanted to share my thoughts of the Sony 2023 showcase. I had to calm down and say it slow because I keep saying Sony showcase. I keep switching the H. But anyways, the Sony showcase for 2023 that just happened about an hour or two ago, and I want to talk and share my thoughts, my reactions to what we saw. Did it let me down? Did it meet my expectations? Let's get right into it. It let me down. Needless to say, I have sitting here my PS5 collection. We have 14 games here, right here, 14 games. I've had the PS5 since launch. Correction, not since launch. I had it like 2 months after launch, then I finally got one. But yes, since its release, I pretty much had one in 2020. And that's all the games I have for it. And you can see behind me, like the Switch collection, I have like 200, I think, games back there. So I want to buy games for my systems because I want to play them. And the PS5 has just had nothing for me. And it's the last two games. Remakes, remasters. These are the last two games I have on it. They're remasters. They're the newest games for the past year that I got for it. Just because God of War doesn't interest me ever since they've kind of changed the system up. I know a lot of people love the new system with it. I don't. I like the more classic way those games played and not the new way. But so there's just been nothing, and I want to play it. It's just been sitting here collecting dust, and I'm hoping I could have saw something in here that's going to make me get hyped and dust it off. Now I know there were some announcements or some teases beforehand, a lot of hype that possibly we would see some Bloodborne 2. So I got excited about that. But when I started to think about it, we have Elden Ring DLC coming out. We don't want to push no attention away from that. I'm sure FromSoft wants a lot of people to purchase the DLC and not worry about thinking about Bloodborne 2 right now. So that's still probably a year and a half off, year and a half from us even getting to see footage of it, if it's even real, which I hope it's real. But so once that was out of my mind, that okay, we're probably not going to see Bloodborne 2. Let's just see what they show us. What will they show us? And really, there was maybe two things I got excited about, and the rest of it just was. It not only made me feel bad for Sony, but it made me feel bad for the developers of some of these games. Now, when I was younger, growing up, I wanted to get into game development too, probably like a lot of other people, until you start looking into what it takes to develop a game and the man hours and overtime and stuff you have and the job security that might not be there. Nope, I was done with it. But it takes so much time these days to develop a game. So these people are putting years of their life into developing some of these bigger title games. Years of their life, and lots of money is being dumped into it. So during the time of the development of that game, they have a job and they're getting paid, but their future kind of depends on the success of that game. And I'm just seeing some of these new IPs that are getting announced, and I'm like, what are they thinking of? Like, who are the games for? Do they think people are really going to buy them? Because I'm sure there's going to be a couple 100,000 that might go out, 200, 300,000 some of these games, but for the most part, they just look like they're going to fail. They're going to fall flat on their face. All this time and money was put into it, and for what reason? I think it was like the first game, this Haven thing. No one cares about that. No one's going to play it, at least in my opinion, and it's going to flop. The second one they showed, the first-person shooter, which you got to be edgy and throw cursing and stuff in there, and I'm shooting spells through my hand. No one's going to buy that either. I'm sorry. I hate to inform anyone. There might be a small audience for it, but it's going to flop. And you're leading your show with these two things. Of course, you want to give them the attention because you want people to do it. One of them is backed by the powerhouse of EA. But it's like another Forspoken. Like, it's going to flop. And I just don't know why. Like, who comes up with the ideas? Like, people are going to love this. It's going to sell millions. And trust me, they probably needed to sell well to make money and for these people to keep their jobs. You don't want to see anyone lose their job, but man, like, can't you think of things that's going to just really get people's attention? Like, wow, that is new and different and I want to play it. this could just be me, and just since I've been gaming since its roots, that I'm used to seeing everything that's been out there, so maybe nothing surprises me anymore, and I'm just being a grumpy old man, and I only want to see what I want to see that I will enjoy. But I don't know, like, you're just wasting all this time and money into something that you can tell instantly from a trailer, like, no one cares about it. I'm watching the Dr. Disrespect live stream with it, and seeing his 30,000 people react to it the same way. Like, no one's going to care about this, and I just feel bad for people who are putting all that time and money and pushing those ideas out there. But anyways, let's get into some of the stuff they covered. And the big ones right off the bat. Spider-Man 2 did get a good showcase at the end of the show when they were showing the final game. That's one I completely forgot about too. I was like, alright, if they're going to show something like Bloodborne, will be here now. But no, you got Spider-Man 2. And it looks really cool. Like, I love the first game. It was awesome. But it's not one I need to get on the first day. It's something I can wait. Like, I'm looking for that game. Like, yes, it's day one. I gotta have it. Spider-Man 2, I will get it. But it's not going to be a day one. That'll be $20 Game of the Year version for me when it's got all the DLC with it. But it looked really good graphically. And the gameplay. Metal Gear Solid, the Snake Eater remake announced. It's like Alex Return to Mother Base was like, it's like the 5th or 6th time we're getting this game ported somewhere else. But this time, it's getting remade. Again, will it be a day one for me though? It probably will not be. I'll probably wait for this to get on the cheaper end as well, depending on when it comes out, how far out it is, what's coming out around it. But this is a game I played before, and I don't have the passion for it like I do a Resident Evil 4 or a Dead Space franchise. Probably won't be day one for me, but it probably will be day one for a lot of people. Plus, you're getting Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, and 3. Why you're not getting 4? Kind of weird. I don't know. I know things with the PlayStation 3 and maybe being able to port it over to play on other consoles might be the confusing thing. I don't know. But it seems weird that 4 is not in there. One of the dumbest announcements of this whole showcase was this dedicated streaming device from Sony. Why anyone would want this thing, I have no idea. It's just a remote play system you can use over your Wi-Fi. So they're probably going to charge you $300 so you can have this device just so you can play it in a different room from your PlayStation. Now, if anyone's an adult like me right now or my age, if I can't be in my game room to play it, I probably won't be able to play it in the other room I'm in either, because I'm doing something else in that room that if I want to play a game, I'll just be in the game room playing it. I don't need it on the handheld device. Matter of fact, with my Switch, I never play that thing in handheld mode. It's always just hooked up to my TV. But there could be a different audience out there who they're always in their house and want to have their PS5 mobile and stream it through it maybe. That just seems like the dumbest waste of money. Or Project Q, their codename project to invest money in. Complete waste. Assassin's Creed Mirage. I fell off the Assassin's Creed train a long time ago. Really enjoyed the first entries in it, but then it just gets that repetitive rinse and repeat cycle with all the games. I like how they incorporated loot into the later versions of the game, because I love hunting me down some loot. But I just couldn't get into the games. Kind of done with it. And here is my favorite announcement of the show. Alan Wake 2, we already knew about it, then I forgot about it because I'm not seeing any advertising for it anywhere. And it kind of probably leads to a lot of what's happening on the back end of this game I'll talk about after we talk about the game. The gameplay looked really awesome. If everyone remembers the third person action with your flashlight and gun from the first one, I loved it. Loved the first game, one of my favorite games of all time. And this game is really kind of slowing that down and taking it more up close and personal. The way the enemies looked in the game, these big hulking enemies, and they're more in your face. It's more of that Resident Evil 4, the new Village and 7, Village and 4, that kind of perspective now. Not the kind of far off camera you had in the first one. So it's really in your face, up close combat going on in this one. Visually, it looked really cool. I'm interested in the story. I cannot wait for that in October. Cannot wait for it. Unfortunately, if you want to play it, you have to buy the digital version because there's no physical copy of it. That was kind of sad news because I was really hoping there was going to be a physical collector's edition. I don't buy many, but of my favorite franchises, I will still get it. And I wanted to get the collector's edition of that. Like a Xenoblade, always get that stuff. And my favorite franchises, I just always have to get the collector's editions. But unfortunately, we're not even getting a physical disc of it. So they said they want to do it to keep the price down, which is going to be $59.99 instead of the $70 that everyone's doing these days. So apparently it costs $10 for the 30-cent discs that it takes to ship. I don't know. But still looking forward to the game. It just stinks that it has to be digital only. As you see, I like to have physical copies of my games. So other than that, the only other thing that I was excited for, well, there's two, was the Dragon's Dogma 2, the new trailer showed. Of course, we knew about this coming out. They did a little teaser, but the new trailer showing off some gameplay and some visuals, the graphics. Oh man, I cannot wait. It looks incredible. Looking forward to playing that. The RE engine it's pumping out some good looking games. So cannot wait to play that. Final Fantasy, I fell off of that a while back. The new combat systems in it just are not for me. And I'm sure lots of people are going to love it, but it's just not for me. What I was hoping for was some Dragon Quest 12 news, but I mean, it's been years since I've heard anything, or even I haven't seen any gameplay yet or nothing from Dragon Quest 12. I was hoping we'd see that in this show, and we did not. So who knows what's going on with that game. It's been a while since 11 came out. I'm hoping to see something from 12. Just wasn't at this show. Bungie Marathon. Cool, you're bringing back your old franchise, don't care. Street Fighter 6, the story mode. Cool. I kind of fell off of, I was never good at fighting games, but said this before, love watching the tournaments online on Twitch. But after Street Fighter 4 was done with, I never got into the players who started playing 5 and keeping up with that crowd. Just all the people I used to love watching from the Street Fighter 4 days and stuff. They're kind of like done, and that's where I had my connection with fighting games. Since they've moved on kind of from the tournament scene and stuff, I've kind of moved on from it. So, and if I was good at fighting games, I'd probably be excited for it. The Haven game I've talked about. Again, I think it's going to flop. No one cares, and you led your show with it. Talos Principle 2. Good enough for a sequel. We saw a lot of sequels announced in this game, but not something I'm into. And the other thing we saw a lot of that was a big highlight from this show was the game trailer starting off with not actual gameplay footage. Just don't show your game then. Why are you coming to the show when you got nothing to show? Don't come here. Unless you're showing us some gameplay, we don't want to see you. At least for me. Don't even come if you're not going to have gameplay. Foam Stars. Don't care. Waste of money. Good job, Square. The Plucky Squire was probably going to have some fans. Don't care. Phantom Blade Zero is the one big surprise shock that was for me. I'm still up in the air about whether I want to get it or not, though, because just games these days, this looked like an awesome hack and slash. The world looked really cool, but hack and slash games these days, the controls are getting so overly complicated that my whole brain can't handle it anymore. So if it's more simple, like the control schemes, once I see some more development stuff into it, that could be something I'm really interested in. But if it's got over the top, like battle and combo parry systems and stuff, it's just too much for me. Ghost Runner 2, I thought the first failed, and yet it gets a sequel. Okay. Helldivers, first one was really hard. 2's kind of mixing it up, kind of like, man, there was another game there's a game that kind of looking at my games remind me. Risk of Rain. It looks like it's taken that route like Risk of Rain did with its sequel. Like they changed it up completely. Instead of being this isometric over the top camera view for the first one, it's this third person view, like combat system for it. So it looks like it could be fun. And it's something that might be free to play or like a free download in the future on Sony Store. That's probably how I'll get it. I won't pay for it. Giant Squid's new game. Haven't played the last 3. Resident Evil 4 VR remake. VR mode seems cool, but I'm not getting a PSVR 2 to do that. Five Nights at Freddy's, don't care. The rest of these, didn't care about any of these announcements. The one that was looking kind of cool was, of course, you have this Ultra. It's like everyone's trying to do the 2D style now. Let's do a Hollow Knight style game, but with color. So creative. The Perfect World game, Tower of Fantasy. This was looking really cool, but then I started looking deeper at it. I'm like, this kind of looks like it could be... It's a game like a lot of mobile games are based around of. It seems like visually it didn't look like a mobile game, but it seems like it's going to have those kind of mechanics. So I'm like picturing that there's going to be some type of store in this game or gacha mechanics that people are going to have to pay money for. I don't know. It just gives me those vibes. So everything else, overall, it was a letdown. And again, I want to play my PS5. But there's just been nothing for me. Maybe you could have an awesome collection, love everything that Sony's been putting out. But for me, there's just been nothing. And I got this console here that just needs some attention. And since you don't have it backwards compatible, I can't even do that. But what did you guys think of it? Again, Dragon's Dogma 2, Alan Wake 2, and the Phantom Zero were probably my 3 highlights. Everything else... Metal Gear was cool, Spider-Man's cool, but not day ones for me. So I want stuff day one is what gets me hyped about it. Alan Wake 2 is going to be a day one for me. Dragon's Dogma 2 will be a day one. So what did you guys think of it? Meet your expectations, let you down? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see y'all in the next one.